Have I come to this planet to pay bills? Leaders are not born, they are made.
So I want to meet you for half an hour. How much will you charge? Everyone will be buying and selling time.
विश्व में केवल 10% ऐसे लोग हैं जो गोल सेट करते हैं.
The manager converted into a leader and you said, we all know, let's do it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Are you all ready? Today we have with us a very, very powerful woman. I just admire the type of work she does. And this woman sitting right in front of you is Jaspreet Kaur. Welcome, Jaspreet, for today's LinkedIn Live with us.
Thank you, Brigadier Bhasin, and good evening to you and good evening to our audience.
Thank you very much. So before I go further, I will like to introduce Jaspreet. So two parts. One is Jaspreet as I know her, and one is what Jaspreet has told me that you should know about her, which is her written bio, right? I have met Jaspreet a couple of months ago, and it was something like impressed at the first sight, right? It was something that there was so striking about this lady that she was like, you know, the sparks around. She's got positive vibes, and no wonder she is into networking, because the moment you meet her, you feel like networking. Creates a vibe around her which is so positive, so friendly, so warm, and that is something I really love about her. She's also a very, very helpful, very meaningful person. And I have known her for now maybe 4-5 months, never heard her criticize a person, never heard her giving her judgment about people. And I've seen her so caring about people in her circle that I got some true meaning of the subject we are going to discuss today, networking. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you now something officially about Jaspreet. She's a personal branding consultant, a soft skills trainer, and the founder of Minerva Community, which is a unique networking club. Now, I've been a part of it, first time just as a guest, now as a full-fledged member of it, and I know what Minerva Community really means. A very powerful, very well-meaning community where people come. They not only network, but they get to know each other, they support each other, they help each other, and we create a very good world around us. With over 20 years of experience, now some of you may look that she doesn't even look 20, but that's a fact, yeah. So with over 20 years of experience, she was the media advisor to the top leaders in Indian and global banks. Before leaving the corporate world in 2015, she was the vice president of brand of communications at BNP Paribas. In 2022, on her birthday, she started Minerva, a special social networking club for men and women. She's also, no, she's not written that, but I'm telling you, this is my extra information. She's also a very powerful speaker and a new member at the Professional Speakers Association of India. And that is another place where we are closely working together. Welcome, Jaspreet. And I'm sure today's session is going to be an enlightening session for our viewers.
Thank you so much, Brigadier Bhasin. So I must tell you, it's very satisfying to hear all this from you. I'm flattered. And yes, I'm looking forward to this conversation this evening. We talk in bits and pieces in almost every second, third day, but sitting down together and, focusing on one subject is which, believe me, I've not done in a long time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, very obvious question. And the first thing I want to get down to, Jaspreet, is
Yes.
that uh, when did you start networking, and how did you feel that this was something that you loved?
Okay, very interesting question. So I must tell you, times have changed now. So let me go back to my childhood. We never knew there's something like networking. I had never heard of it. In fact, I heard of the word networking for the first time in 2015. Now, I have grown up in a township, and you understand what a township is because we had an environment very similar to what you have in the defense services. So we knew everybody who lived in that town because everybody, I mean, my father and my friend's father, they all worked together. So we knew practically everybody. And then I was a player. So played at the school level, at the college level, university level, state level, national level. So first part was making friends within the township. Second part was being a player. When I played at different levels, I met girls and boys of my age group, and then I met new coaches. So this whole sports environment and the township environment made me very comfortable meeting and talking to people and building a relationship. And then you keep meeting those same people day in, day out. So we knew nothing about networking, but all we knew was building relationship with people. And then, of course, when I started working at a very young age of 21, 22, again, there are there's another set of people you meet who are your colleagues, who are your clients, who are your seniors, and so on. But when I left my job, and in 2015, when I started my business, that is when I heard the word business networking. And there is something like networking that exists, and you and me have been talking about it. People would say, oh, she's good in public relations, and you have also experienced the same thing. So yeah, that was the beginning of it in the childhood in a very different way. But we'll talk about it more as we go along.
Yeah, but now this brings me this. I just love this word building relationships,
Hmm.
because when I relate to my life right from my childhood, even I was looking at, making more friends,
Right,
creating relationships that last long. And I
right,
remember even as a child, I would never be happy losing a friend for whatever reason. You know,
absolutely.
losing money was never a problem, losing friends was a problem.
Yes,
And so I understood the meaning of building relationships, which was very important. And now,
yes,
if we carry on, even in my latest TEDx talk, I spoke about human connections. So,
right,
another term that I started loving, particularly after being in the army, where I found that when I go into the war and I need help, my
right,
nobody is around. My parents, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, nobody is there. My family is the people around me there.
right,
And when people in the army give away or sacrifice their limbs and life for people, the
right,
question comes up, why did you do it? And the
right.
answer worldwide, and Simon Sinek said it, I realize it's not only Indian army, it's all the armies in the world.
Yes,
The
right,
answer is because he would have done the same for me.
right,
So now that trust, so this is, if you bring that element of
right,
understanding that I
right,
am doing it for her because she will also do it for me. I
right.
trust that. So the trust and relationships, I think,
Yes,
gives a very close connection or close relationship with
yes,
networking, right?
yes,
Having
absolutely,
said that,
absolutely.
yeah, having said that, I'm actually quite curious because in all our conversations, I've never asked you this question. We've never talked about it. That
Sure.
yes, you did. I know all about your Panchkula, Parvanu. I know
Yes,
Parvanu township and all that you've been talking about.
yes,
And being from Shimla, I've crossed Parvanu 1,000 times, I think.
right,
Uh, Before Parvanu was known as Parvanu, I've crossed it.
yes,
Okay, so I've seen it growing also. My
absolutely.
point is, at what stage did you realize that after being a banker and a corporate girl for so long, what made you think of creating a beautiful business model out of networking? That was something
Wow.
amazing.
This is for the first time somebody is asking me this question, and I would love to answer it. So I'll tell you what, when I was in the corporate job, in fact, I should take you a little back. When I was in the corporate job, I understood one thing, that you need to build relationship with people whom you work. So that was building connections within the organization that I worked with, different banks that I worked at. So it made life very easy. You could get work done from people easily. Now, when I thought of starting my business, uh, because I had worked for 15 years in the corporate sector, in the banking sector, I didn't know anybody outside banking sector. So when I started my business, I kept waiting for clients, people to come up to me. But all I knew were bankers, and bankers had already always seen me as a banker. So they never thought I could be a soft skills trainer. So I was struggling to get business the first few months and get clients. I was doing digital marketing, but that takes its own time. So one day I was sitting with a friend of mine who is a doctor, and I was telling her, you know what, you are lucky. You've invested your time and energy during your medical college days, and now today, whichever part of the country you go and you open a clinic, it's going to work from day one. You will have a line of patients standing. And she laughed at me and she said, what happened? So I said, it's been 3 months and I'm struggling. So I don't know what to do. But in spite of the fact that I have the best of services, the best of pricing, the best offerings, yet I don't see people even inquiring. And if once in a while there's a lead, then converting it into business. So then she suggested to me, why don't you join a networking group? And I said, what is that? She says, I don't have much idea, but I know one thing, that there are people who meet, once in a week at a certain place. So what I will do, I'll connect you with one of my friend who's a part of this networking community, and you meet and figure out. 3 days later, I was sitting in a room full of people, about 50, 60 of them, on a Friday morning, 7:30 a.m. Now, I had
Me and
not
I, the moment you say
yes,
seventh.
yes. And I had not seen so many people in a long time. I mean, by now it was already 3 months that I had left my job. So I thought, this is the place that I have to be. And when the meeting started and the structure they have, uh, the it was fantastic for me. And I thought, this is the place from where I'm going to get my wings to fly. I had no second thought. I deposited the fee and I was on board. Now, of course, the first few weeks were very interesting because I had not met so many people in a long time. So for me, meeting new set of people, knowing them and so all was interesting. But then about 3 months passed by. So it was slightly getting onto my nerves. Why? Now, I am a fitness enthusiast. I don't love to miss my workouts. So for me, they are hygiene. Now, waking up 5 a.m. So waking up is not a challenge, but getting ready and being at some place by 7:30 a.m., being there for 4 hours and just getting 30 seconds to speak because time is always pressing.
Always pressing. Yeah, I was just going to say, and
Yeah.
every week after week, you listen to the
Yes,
same
same. Yes. So,
script.
so I think I was not enjoying that process after a few months. Now, there are people who enjoy it. I'm not saying that the process is not correct and so on. It works for people, but that's the time when I sat down with myself to understand, why is it that I am not enjoying it. So a few things came out with introspection. Number one, in a corporate job, you don't have to struggle for business. So I was in a support system where we never had to think of business development and meeting some targets. So our targets were very different. So now here, I would see people talking about numbers, targets, and so on. Plus, I was not used to standing up and tom-tomming about myself in 30 seconds that, I have this client, I've done this for this person. So all those things were just not there in me. So I thought it doesn't match with the whole thing of tom-tomming about myself. The second thing was I realized that I was there for a purpose. Okay, my purpose was relationship building with a peer group. Now, they had everybody. It was a very diverse crowd, right from somebody who had a stationery shop to somebody who was a caterer to somebody who had a logistic company, somebody who was a consultant, a doctor. Now that was not my peer group. So this was the second challenge I faced. So despite being having 50, 60 people around you every week, you are not connecting with people because they are not your kind of people, and they are over a period of time, I started understanding they are not even my target audience. I am not able to hold a conversation with them given my background and the environment, corporate environment in which I have worked. So when I thought this is my challenge, there'll be more people like me who will have a similar challenge.
So
But
I
then
just
my mind never worked that there can be a networking club and I can also form it. But by the time 2022 came, I was struggling to network. And that's when it struck to me that Jaspreet Kaur, you worked in the corporate sector for 15 years. You know so many people. By now, you have so many clients. So in your entrepreneurial journey, also you know so many people. So why don't you approach them, talk to them, and tell them that let us meet at least once a month. So the whole
okay,
idea
just
started.
one second
Sorry.
here. One
Yeah.
second here. I want to intervene here
Yeah.
before you go further. Just to
Yeah.
say, I had similar experiences in BNI. I was there
Right.
for 1 year. I had started doing a lot of work on time management. And one day
Absolutely.
I calculated that in
Hmm.
addition to almost 1 lakh that I was paying in a year for,
Yes.
32 or something, 36,000 was the fee itself,
Yes.
plus commuting every week, plus at
Yes.
least doing two one-to-ones
Yes.
and all that. Then
Right.
I calculated the time, and I
Yes.
said the cost of time that I am investing in BNI is far beyond. And I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
for whatever reasons, I could never get any business out of BNI.
Hmm. Right.
So, with a lot of gratitude to BNI, and I also say nothing wrong with it, but
Yeah.
not meant for me. I went to Singapore, and Singapore also time was pressing. So I said, yeah, I'm fed up of listening to that same script. You know exactly what this person is going to say
Yes.
now. And that
Absolutely.
makes it very monotonous. I'm a person who likes to have novelty. And there's a
Yeah.
repeat record playing everywhere. I mean, like you go to another country, वहाँ पे भी record बज रहा है. So I said no.
Yes. Hmm.
Now, so what you're saying is so right. Then in my life also something like I was always told in the army, इसका PR बड़ा strong है. And
Yes.
then
Yes.
realized
Yes.
what PR meant when we understood the word networking. But
Yeah.
like now I'm telling you before you come to tell us what your club is because I know it. I want to tell
Yeah.
you that there were many things I did. I
Yeah.
joined HNP, Happy Neighborhood Project. It's a
Oh.
worldwide. Okay. Now I was leading the India initiative through COVID from
Okay.
2020, from the beginning of COVID till much after the end of COVID. In fact, I
Okay.
left them just 6 months back because it was
Okay.
taking up too much of my time, but it was a good concept and
Yeah.
international people. We connected with a lot of good international people. And here the
Okay.
connections were human connections. Here,
Right.
although it was meant for business, but business was not a priority. It didn't look
Right.
like so it was mostly connecting with people, and that started interesting me. Then
Right.
I have been a couple of networking groups, like one I've got now in Bombay called the IBG. I told you about that.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, that is also a very good group. I
Right.
have also experienced by knowing a lot about networking from a
Right.
guy called Will Petersil who talked a lot about concepts of networking, and
Yeah.
how he from networking gave a little paved this path to masterminding.
Right.
Okay, so with all this, I
Yeah.
feel that whatever I have seen, yours
Right.
is probably the best model I've seen. And the
Right.
best model I say is that here, when you say no business cards, don't talk about business. So you concentrate or you focus on getting to know the person more than
Yes.
what he or she does. And
Yes.
that is something which I'm really impressed about. So now when you
Right.
come to your talking about your business club, I
Right.
want you to tell our audience a little more about
Hmm.
why did you, ultimate aim one says about networking is how do you
Yeah.
get the best out of people. But I
Yes.
have seen your emphasis has not been how to get and all that. I have also
Yes.
seen that you are not talking about, like, even when we come in your meetings, nobody
Hmm.
talks about, nobody is trying to say, how can I get leads? How can I convert them? And that
Yes.
is what is making your business club very unique. So let's talk
Right.
something about that part.
Sure. Because most of the networking communities where you go, people are only talking business and transactions. So, in the age group where I am, where you are, and many members of Minerva are, so it's also about targeting the audience. I thought it's very important to have people around you who are focused on developing themselves, right? Who want to make friends, who are looking at right connections, being with the best and best. I wanted something like that. And I think I attracted those kind of people around me. And that's how the community got formed, because we talk about business everywhere. We attend leadership conferences. So business time has to be separate. But this is where you develop relationships. I can tell you with a lot of confidence, every relationship eventually it leads to business. Now, if you go a little deeper into it, you will realize that uh, when we do business, we do it on the basis of trust, credibility that a certain person has built with us. It is not done with organizations. You could have the best and best of product, but if people have a relationship with you, they like to do business with you. And any relationship building takes its own time. You invest time in it, and I'm telling you, you have to invest money also in it. So if you do these two things right, and you have a little patience, and you are not looking at some magic that is going to happen in overnight, I can assure you, you make up for all that in those many months where you've not made business from Minerva or any community which is like Minerva. So hence, I tell people, know the other person so well that they are happy to share their mobile number with you. They are happy to invite you to their office, to their house. And I have seen this happening in the last 2 years. People have actually started businesses together. They've collaborated. They have helped each other in their medical emergencies. They have gone to the extent of, I remember one of the members, she had an NGO and she wanted to do an event, and she needed funds to do that kind of an event. And there was another member who had a charitable trust. So, they met through Minerva. Now, this member who had a charitable trust wanted to give away her funds to get, of course, some tax benefits and so. And this member also needed for her event. It just worked so well that both of them collaborated and both of them benefited out of it. So what I'm trying to say is, if even if it is not a business deal, but even this is a transaction which was important for both the parties, so you never know how it helps.
But what you're saying is that what you did was not, sorry,
Yeah,
I can't hear you, or
I can
were you
hear you
saying?
clearly.
So I just wanted to intervene and say
Yes.
that what you're saying is that business can still happen, but now
Yes.
it'll happen with lot of intensity because of the trust and credibility that you have
Yes,
built.
and it's going to be there
And
for a long time.
for long, it's sustained for long. And
Yes,
another thing is that it was not driven by business interest. The
yes,
business came out of trust and all. So it is
yes,
it is very easy, very important to understand. And I go by what you are saying, that
yes,
it is not really speaking that you are driving your business. The motive
yes,
is not business, and
yes.
business then flows out of it in a very
Outcome.
natural form.
Yes, yes. And let me add one more point to it. If I'm giving you an example, now I have developed a very strong rapport with you. Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
yeah.
Ha. I
Go
said,
ahead.
if
Go
I,
ahead.
yes. Now,
Yeah.
if I know you well,
Hello.
okay. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. I said,
Yeah, I
now,
can
if
hear
I
you.
know you well, yes, yes, I can also hear you. I said, so there's one more point I would like to add. See, if I know you well, okay, I may not have immediate business opportunities for you in my own business. But if I know you well, I will have no second thoughts recommending you to my other people in the network. It could be a friend, it could be a family member. So, some or the other kind of opportunity will come. You just have to be a little patient and keep doing right things consistently.
So right. So actually, it's already happened.
Yes,
I know that you have already recommended me to some people, and
hmm.
so what I call this in my like I was attending a networking event in Singapore as a
Right,
part of APSS,
right,
and they asked us all to write down one word that would describe you in the networking scenario.
right,
Okay. And this
right,
is what I said. I'm putting it on the screen. Just see. I
hmm.
said, I got up and I said, I'm a connector.
Right,
I'm a connector.
right.
I may not need your services. You may not need my services, but I'll connect you to a person who can either give you a service or you can give your service to him.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So now
So
when you
let me
develop,
tell you, next time you should write super connector and not connector. You are a super connector.
so what happens is I just love it because I
Hmm.
feel I became a facilitator to
Right.
two people being able to join. And really speaking, I don't
Yes.
know how many people get this right.
Right.
When you help me and somebody else connect, I help you and somebody connect, and then
Right.
this starts happening as a no, we are only 12 people in the Minerva group right now. Now,
Yes.
12 people doing this, it'll create at least 100 of connections.
Right.
Aren't we,
Right.
aren't we really doing a ripple effect for the world to become a better place?
Yes. 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 So, when you said connector, now one of the things that I have observed in you also, and we keep talking about it in PSAI as well, and it's my personal observation, and it's been there from day one. Okay. You are a big time giver. You go out of the way to help people, you make time for them. At odd hours also we've seen you helping people in so many things. In fact, a lot of times I have also taken help from you. So I think that is key in networking. How do you add value to people's life? They will always remember it. So it's important to be a giver, but you can't be a giver. It naturally comes to you. So these are things which we have to observe in people around us. What is it that they are doing right? And then maybe, learn those things from them if we are not able to introspect as to how to become a good networker.
So let me tell you something very interesting here. Very, very
Right,
interesting.
right.
So there was one seminar I was attending. There was a British person conducting it,
Yes,
and he asked a question. He said, "How many of you are givers?"
right,
So surely I put my hand up, straight
right,
and clear.
right,
And then he says, "How many of you are takers?"
right.
So my hand was down, and a lot of other
Right.
people put up their hands, and I was very proud that, see, I'm a giver, I'm not a taker.
Right. Right. Right.
He said, I'm sorry. How
Right.
can you give without receiving if you're not a
Right.
receiver? So he
Right.
said, like I breathe out, but I don't breathe in.
Right.
So he said, let's learn to give and take. Okay,
Yes.
it means that receive and give. If you are
Right.
not a receiver, you cannot be a giver. So let's not assume that you already have so much in you that without receiving, you can keep giving. So
Right.
I really understood that. And now I say I am a receiver and a giver.
Right, right. So let me just add one more line to what you've said. Through your personal experiences, I'm sure you would have also observed, I have also observed. The first step is to give, and then it
Yeah.
comes back to you, right? Most of the times I've seen this when without an agenda, we've gone ahead and done something for people. uh, they a time comes when they will also come back and help you and reciprocate in the same fashion. So rather than thinking who's going to be the receiver first, who's going to be the giver first, I think what comes to you and me naturally is that we'll not think about it, but yes, it gets reciprocated.
So when I heard this term, I understood what he said, but I
Yes,
continue to give, I continue
yes,
to give, but I
yes,
am now conscious that receiving also happens on its own. What do
yes,
you say?
yes,
So there's a
yes, yes.
beautiful part which you also heard a lot in BNI when they say what goes around comes around.
Comes around.
I
Yes,
realize that it may not come back from the same source. If I
yes,
have done some good work for you, it
yes,
may come back to me from somebody else. But
yes,
I will, if I have done some good deed, I will get a good result from it.
yes, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
still I feel, I am
Hmm.
not here to give people in the hope कि कहीं से तो फिर आ जाएगा. No,
Yes,
getting is
yes,
a bonus. मिले ना मिले. I never
yes.
care
Mile
about
na
मैंने
mile.
ये किया और मेरे को मिला नहीं.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are right. I totally agree to you on this point.
I think that's going beautifully. Just loving this conversation and the way it's
Yeah.
going. I'm
Yes.
only finding that today for whatever reasons, we have not got many people, and those
Yes.
who are here are not even letting us know that they are here. So, ladies
Okay.
and gentlemen, if you are watching, can you please write down something and write down
Hmm.
your name, because I'm getting LinkedIn user saying something. So now,
Okay.
for example, this one came up. So I know who this LinkedIn user is, and there are
Okay.
a couple of millions of them. So please write down your name and let us know if you are there. And if there's anyone else, just say hi and give your name so we know you are there. And please let's participate, because our discussions are always interactive with the audience. And
Right.
if you have any questions about networking, please keep putting them in, because we've got an expert on the show today, and she's certainly going to be able to give you uh, her valuable answers to that. So let's have more participation on the question of on the comments. So I'm not seeing comments coming up. We I
Okay.
can see a few people are there, but they're not coming up with names,
Right.
and we yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
even I can read it. Yes.
Yeah.
So we started with the topic of, why networking is important for emerging leaders, right? Uh, that's from the core of our discussion. Uh, now I do want to mention an incident. When
Hmm.
I had just begun my career, I was just about 21 and a half, right out of college. I joined a private bank, and private banks had, just started coming in. Those were the time when RBI gave licenses. So very little understanding. You are, as I said, right out of the college. So I joined a bank. I was there about 4 years, and then you are too young to know how people dynamics are and so on, and there were so many things that I was not happy about, and I decided to quit. I put in my papers and I thought I will definitely get a job somewhere because there are so many private banks around. And I did apply to a couple of banks and I did not get a job. Nobody even called me. And I was wondering that, all my colleagues who've left, gone, they've got jobs, but I haven't got it. And I went back to those colleagues. I said, "You've been able to get a job so easily, and I haven't got it. How did you get it?" They said, "Nothing. There was an opening. We applied for it, and we got the job." I said, "But haven't seen any opening anywhere. Where does this opening come?" They said, "Just somebody told us." Now, imagine the kind of immaturity that I had. I still didn't understand the whole thing. Uh, Last day of my last day in the bank that I worked with, now I was very nervous. People were getting ready to give me farewell party, my farewell lunch, and I was nervous that I don't have anything in hand. And I walked up to my manager and I said I would like to take my resignation back, and I did it. Okay, I did it. I took my resignation back, and then again I worked there. Eventually, I did get a job, but my learning, my learning then was, even when I was 25, 26, it is not that you only have to have network within the organization that you work with. You also need to network with people outside your organization, within the industry. Okay. And of course, then a lot of things, as you mature, you see what your seniors are doing and you start doing all of those things. But this was the first setback I had, and first lesson that I learned, that it is very important to have relationships outside. Even if I didn't know the meaning of the word networking, I understood relationships. Yes. So, we were discussing in the morning that things which leaders should keep in mind, emerging leaders, and why should they be networking. So, what leaders need to keep in mind is, till the mid management level, your technical skills and team management skills will get you to a certain level. Okay. Now, if you want to grow and go beyond that, and you are aiming for leadership roles, you need to have a very strong network connection relationship within the organization. And it is because there's going to be a time when there's going to be a 360-degree feedback. Okay. So people have to know you, and they should be able to share a positive feedback about you. Okay. So you have to create opportunities to work with them or have some kind of rapport with them. So that's number one. Now, organizations also expect that people should be knowing industry, within the same industry, they should be knowing, their peer group. And why is it important? Because there are times when there are problems, you need help from peers out within the industry. So people should be willing to help you. And you should have a relationship where you can influence industry peers. Uh, so hence, this need is critical when you have to move beyond the mid management level. Plus, if you are looking to grow, move out from your own organization, take up a bigger role somewhere else, uh, I don't think at the senior management level you will see any kind of advertisement coming in. Okay, it is only through network and relationship that people approach you when the positions are open and hiring is happening. So you need to be meeting people outside, and the same stands for business as well. If there are opportunities and you are connected to people, and you make very conscious effort to connect and invest time in it, you start seeing the results.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in my leadership workshops and in my coaching sessions,
Yes.
uh, when I do a coaching session where I take leaders to the highest level, and
Yes.
and it is all based on this battlefield to boardroom. One
Right.
of my sessions I do with them is about becoming an industry icon. And when I
Right.
talk about an industry icon, what I really
Yes.
mean is that you should be able to, should be known for your expertise in the industry. Like if you're, it's not only in bank A or B, people know you in the banking circuits. And
Yes.
if there's a banking conference or there is an
Yes.
association of banking and they want some speaker, they get you. And when you
Yes.
are standing on stage there, you are addressing a gathering of bankers from
Yes.
across the country and maybe even
Yes.
internationally. So
Yes.
to become an industry icon is that you have to establish your expertise beyond just your company. And you
Yes.
must also know, so your knowledge about what is happening in the banking industry, what is happening in America, what's happening in UK, what's happening in Pakistan,
Yes.
so that you are able to compare. And if you are called for a TV show or something, you can't
Yes.
say, no, I only know ABC Bank, I don't know DEF Bank.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is something which also just to augment what you said, and that is a wonderful point that you came out
In
with.
fact, I would like to add something to what you've said. Now, while you may have aspirations to be there and you are networking in the conferences, one thing people must prepare themselves for is what are those skills that I need to develop in me to be the best when I'm in those kind of forums. So, which would mean speaking skills. If I want to see myself at the stage in the panel discussions, or I want to see myself meeting my industry leaders, uh, then I need to develop my speaking skills. I need to be well groomed. I have to know what etiquettes are. What is it that I speak and I don't speak? Where is it that I need to stay quiet? So these are very important skills to develop. And two ways of doing that. One is, of
Very,
course, take professional help because it's easily available these days. And second is observing people, your role models and mentors and so on. Yes, you were saying something.
I was saying that I I certainly believe very strongly
Yes,
in the fact that communication is number one skill set in the plan,
yes,
because
yes,
every skill that you have can only be learned if you were communicative enough.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
it is the
yes.
mother of all skills, number one.
Yes, yes.
Number two is that what I learned, particularly after getting on the PSCI platform. See, I've been a
Hmm.
speaker from my childhood. I started speaking on the stage when I was in class 7. In the
Yes,
army, I was speaking all the time. I thought I was a good speaker. Then I was 20 years after I came out of the army, I was a trainer. Of course,
right,
trainer is morning till evening is talking, talking, talking. So there's no problem. But when I
right,
came into professional speaking, and not many
right,
people know the difference between professional speaking and public speaking.
right,
Public speaking, a person can speak on any subject and not is not paid.
right,
Professional speakers speak on their expertise and they are paid for it. So when
right,
you become a professional speaker, why would a person pay you X
right,
amount of dollars and a high rate and that just for
right,
an hour of speaking? Because
right,
one, you gave enough value
right,
in that 1 hour. So I realized that what I used to get for one full day's 8 hours training, I
right,
started getting more than that in that
right,
1 hour. Why? Because my ability, which I'd learned over it, took me about 3-4 years to do that. My
right.
ability to condense my 8 hours knowledge into 1 hour capsule. It is something like a capsule khalo. Okay.
Right, right,
Now,
right,
number one. Number two, in a training, I can only, let's say, influence about 5, 6, 20, 30 people. But
right,
on the stage, I've gone, I mean, of course, I've been an MC on a stage for even 40,000 people. But in
right,
a professional stage, the
right,
highest that I could do is 1,100 people. Now,
right,
1,100 people, diverse audience, if you can keep them gripped and they don't
right,
leave the audience, they
right,
don't leave the auditorium, they're sitting there. means you've been able to grip their attention.
Yes,
So
yes,
that, along with the social media power and all, you get to
yes.
increase your networking not only by what you did on the stage, but also when you
Right,
post about it on LinkedIn and thing like that. So I
right.
think today people have to understand that networking has become far, far more important, number one. Number
Yes,
two, it has also become very easy, because earlier there was no way for me to network with people across the world, but thanks
yes,
to COVID we got into that online world where
yes,
now you can be sitting on your in your home and networking with 40 people from 40 different countries. So
yes,
that is a
yes,
power and we must use it. But now I have another very interesting question that came to my mind while you were talking.
yes. Please
So
tell me.
there is a big challenge all of us face,
Right.
all of us, that there are thousands of people and I feel isko millo. I go for a networking event, there are 100 200 people there. I can't
Yes,
meet 200 people in that time.
right,
Just could you tell me, and maybe many people listening to us will probably like to understand, how
right,
do you get the right person? How do I
right,
make sure that in that 1 hour of networking I get the best out of that 1 hour and meet the right people and don't waste my time on people that don't matter?
right, right. So here, even before I we get to networking events, there's one step more I would like to add. Number one is identifying the right kind of places. You know, now, say for example, Rotary and Alliance Club is also a networking community, but there is a different purpose for which people get together there. So, if I were to take a call as to which events I want to go and what is the purpose of going, then accordingly I identify those kind of events. So that's the first step, and I hope you've understood my first step. So, uh, if I want to involve myself in a social cause, I would choose a club like Rotary or Lions. If I'm only focused on business, maybe a Jito or a BNI, uh, World Banya community, depending on what community you come from. And the third, now I will come to what you asked me in that 1 hour. Okay, so I'll tell you how I go with my gut feel. There is no agenda I have. Uh, I am neither an introvert nor an extrovert. But there is this sense in me where I'm able to look at people's face and I get very comfortable and they get very comfortable with me. Okay. I don't exchange my business cards with everybody and anybody. Uh, I'm very selective about it. Now, once and everybody has that sense in them, right? That this is somebody who's very impressive, seems very welcoming, would be nice to talk to. And I'm sure you've also experienced this, that who are those people who seem very welcoming and open, and and I take a call based on my gut feel. So there is no specific formula that I can give you, that these are the kind of people you should network with. Now, once we open the conversation, in the first couple of minutes, I get a sense that I would want to extend my conversation with them. And I will tell you what will hold me back rather than telling you what will help me extend the conversation. What holds me back is specific things. Being a woman, if I see a man, initially there'll be a little, professional. And at the moment I see that they're getting comfortable, then I see them. I've been to such events where I've seen them cracking jokes on their wives, on women employees, and on women. So that is what makes me think, no, I don't want to network with them. The second thing is, when I see somebody talking business to me, they want to sell something to me, and it's recently happened that I was at some place where there was a friend with me, and we were discussing LinkedIn, and this lady said that she said that I don't know how to use LinkedIn. And he said, why don't you pay me and I will teach you? So, somebody meeting for the first time, and within the first 5 minutes of conversation, this kind of a statement came up. That's one example that I gave you, that I wouldn't want to network with them. So I look at people who will take interest in me, in what I do. And when I say in me, meaning they'll try and understand who I am, what's my experience, maybe not talk about business. They'll appreciate the industry, or maybe appreciate something about me. They've done some homework, or they've heard about me, or we are connected on LinkedIn. And they will find out commonalities to hold conversations. So it happens, you have to take the risk of engaging with people, and you figure out. So if in the first couple of minutes I get a sense, I excuse myself, and then I'll talk to the next person. And then you will find people like you, if it's a large group, even if it's a smaller group. So have I answered you?
Yes, you have. But I'll add a couple of things which I've also picked up from some experience.
Yes.
One is in 2019, I told you when I went to Singapore, and this guy called Gil Petersil, you
Yes.
may like to check him out. He's one of the very known, they say he's a networking guru and all that.
Yes. Yes.
So I saw him conducting a demonstration in an event where he was
Right.
telling us we were going to be starting a 2 days convention of speakers in Singapore, and this
Right.
was in another restaurant an evening before. So now
Right.
he was preparing us that at least those 30, 40 people out of the 200 people who are going to be there next day, he said, I'll make sure that at least you have 10 people to talk to tomorrow when you get into the convention. You'll not be all
Right.
strangers.
Right.
One thing he said was that when you meet people, so of course
Yeah.
he gave us a lot of do's and don'ts of, don't barge into people, don't disrupt their communication and all that. But
Yeah. Yeah. Don't ask personal questions.
huh. But there were one or two things which I've never forgotten, which he said, and
Yeah.
one of them may interest to all of us here. He said that don't go and first give your card and take that card and walk off.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't serve any purpose. You are not on a business card collecting spree. You are to know people.
Right.
Second thing he said was you should be able to talk to a person for 7 minutes minimum.
Yes.
And the reason was that when you are standing in close proximity for 7 minutes, your
Hmm.
body cells get to understand each other. They recognize each other.
Right.
So
Right.
you will remember this person even after 5 years when you meet, you'll say, I met this person somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. Number two, which I've also learned from my wife in this world of metaphysics and all, when you talk of the theory of mind, that
Right.
when we are standing close to each other, which you are
Hmm.
normally like what your distance is about 1.5, 2 feet from the
Yes.
person you're talking to, what happens is that is our mind. Our mind is a 6 feet ball of energy. So that means
Right.
your mind and my mind space has come together.
Right.
And why does it happen that sometimes, for no reason that I can assign, I don't mind hugging this person which I'm meeting for the first time. I don't know anything about that person, but there's something so wonderful that you said this is the person I want to be friendly with. And
Yes.
sometimes equally, for no reason whatsoever, there's nothing wrong with that person, and you want to keep that person away.
Yeah. So I
So
said we
this
have that sense in us,
huh.
the
So when
sixth,
you say,
seventh sense.
yeah, so if you get that feeling that this is not the right type of a person, then don't spend 7 minutes with that person, walk away.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
politely, make some excuse, go and talk to somebody else. Number one.
Right.
He said a couple of other things that if you have met a person today, tomorrow make sure you go and remember that person's name. So
Yes.
even go and write down that these are the 10 people I met today.
Right.
In those
Right.
days, we were not talking so much about LinkedIn and all, but today what I do is when I come back from a place, I first go and check up the LinkedIn profile.
Right.
I've not
Right.
done it earlier. So there's
Right.
something memorizing or saying I will meet. I aim when I go for a networking meeting. I say let me see if I can make 10 good connects today.
Yes, yes.
So I
So,
stand in the corner first. If I don't know anyone, I just go and see, and I try to see, where a person is very cheerful,
yes.
is not looking very
So
gloomy.
welcoming.
Yeah,
Welcoming, if you remember, I used the word welcoming, and you
yeah,
get to know from people's body language, the way they
yeah,
will look at you, and you know they are open to communicating with you, shaking hands with you. So, a lot can be learned from people's body language about them.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
also, my observation has been, which I'm sure you've observed. Now, when there are larger groups, you will have some people who speak less, who are introvert, who like to stay within themselves. Now, it's very hard to, open conversation with them. But they could be of interest to you in some or the other way. And I have realized you need to have some way of helping them to get into a conversation. So those are also techniques which I think people must learn. If these kind of people find you intimidating or threatening in terms of being too talkative, they get into their shell, and then it becomes very difficult to ever build a rapport with these kind of people. And I have had these kind of people saying that, Jaspreet, we get very uncomfortable, hence we don't like to come. So this is one thing. The second thing, I'm going to take you back to the point that you mentioned, spending those 7 minutes and knowing the person. So if you recollect, during our Minerva meet last time, the whole idea was around people knowing each other personally. And in all our meets, I make sure people are sitting and having dinner with each other. They rotate their chairs. The whole event is designed in a way where people are investing quality time with each other. So, hence, this time is very important. So, if there is a pressure of time on people, 30 seconds and 1 minute and 2 minutes, I think you can't develop relationship in that time. But yes, it could be 7 minutes is a good time to know a little, at least, to when you meet the person the second time, you know their name and you remember we've seen them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now, these days, combining networking with social media and all, I
Yeah.
firstly, if I know the audience,
Yes.
I try to see if I can identify even before I go there. Like for
Yes.
example, when we go, like I'm going to Bali now, I
Yes.
got the speakers list.
Yes.
There's a WhatsApp group. I've
Yes.
already gone and tried to identify that these are a minimum because we got 4 days,
Yes.
and I've made a list of 50 people, and
Right.
I'll probably be able to shortlist it to 20 30 कि ये 20 30 को तो मिलना है, बाकी
Yes.
जो है जो मिलेगा नहीं मिले, sometimes it's a little hit and trial like you said. So
Yes.
you can know today and if I meet somebody and say, oh, I'm very happy to see you play tennis so well, and the person says, how
Yes.
do you know that? So
Yes.
straight away a connection is built up because you found something common.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I tell you, ki, oh, I know that you are from, you have lived in Parvanu and I am from
Yes.
Shimla,
Yes.
straight connect.
So you've
So
done homework on me. It
yeah,
shows clearly that you've made an effort to know me,
exactly.
figure out information about me, and obviously anybody would feel happy in that scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we
So
would do this in our corporate job also. I can I now this reminds me, whenever we had journalists coming up to meet our top management to interview them, we would do a lot of homework on knowing what the journalists, especially the foreign journalists, because Indian journalists, most of them we knew, what kind of stories has he or she covered, what kind of people has she or he interviewed, what is their style of questioning, what kind of questions can they ask you. So this homework, whether it's a corporate job or it's a business or it's networking, I think it always helps if you invest a little time in knowing people.
absolutely, absolutely.
And
So
thanks to social media. Yeah.
yeah. So now we are already at past 6 p.m. And
Yes.
so we'll come to the last question and end
Yes.
up such a wonderful conversation that I've had with you.
Thanks.
My last question to you will be, can you share two or three very important tips
Yes.
with the viewers, which
Hmm.
should be something like your key tips on understanding networking from its base, foundational level?
Foundational level. Okay, great. Even if they are introverts. So I'll first talk about introverts. Okay,
Mm.
look for smaller networking groups. So 12, be a group of 12 or 15. Okay, within 12 and 15, identify people, uh, who are giving you your space and time to flourish. Now, second step, uh, identify or figure out your purpose of networking. uh, when you figure out your purpose for networking, identify networking communities accordingly. Okay, purpose could be professional, purpose could be
Well,
personal as well. And last, each time, we've spoken about this earlier, only go with the mindset of building relationship. Do not have an agenda. Now, if you do that, it works very well. And see, how can I said this earlier, how can I be of use to others? And last but not the least, if you have network, don't keep it to yourself, share it uh, with others. Because if your network is of it's of not larger, it doesn't come to use, and others can't use it, then there's no point having a network. So build it, develop it, and share it. Just follow these three steps and it works very well.
thank you so much. That's absolutely brilliant. And I think it brings us to a very powerful, very nice, meaningful conversation around networking.
Yes.
I myself learned a lot. And,
And I've had,
you're
in
talking
fact,
about,
I have learned a lot.
and, when you're talking of Minerva and you were saying something, I just
Mhm.
got reminded. See, you are very good at, you know people very well. And the way you made me shift my seat at dinner, that means you knew who's the right person I must meet there. But
Okay.
all the time we will not have Jaspreet around there. So I think somewhere
Yeah.
we need to also identify that
Hmm.
where should I spend my time. So
Right.
थोड़ा सा पहले अगर identify कर लो where you want to sit, because sometimes you may come too late and where you want to sit there's no seat available.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
sometimes it is good, I've realized, that you go and find a person you want to sit with and say, can I
Hmm.
sit here? And then put your bag there or something and then go to pick up your plate, so that it shouldn't happen that by the time you come back, that seat is gone. So
Yes, yes,
something
yes. You're
like this,
absolutely right.
yeah,
These are
otherwise
just smart
it will be,
strategies.
yeah, otherwise you'll be left with to sit with somebody where the seat was available. And that
Yes,
could
but
be anyone, it could turn out to be a lottery, good or bad.
yes, yes, yes. You're absolutely right. And that is why, I tell you in advance, this is what I want to do, want you
Yeah,
to do. And you do it smartly.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you,
ladies
Brigadier
and
Bhasin. Thank
gentlemen,
you
yeah,
so much.
thank you. Thank you, Jaspreet. I really
Enjoyed
want
this
to thank you a
conversation.
lot for your time. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Thanks
Yes.
to each one of you who are here or who were here, and those who will also be probably listening to the recording later. So, thank you, Varinder, Amanpreet, Vijay Shard, Sanchita.
Sanchita.
So nice to see you all here. And I will look forward to seeing more of you. I know that today I've come after a long time, there's been a gap, but I am reviving my alternate Wednesday. So today we are going to do first and third Wednesday of every month. Be prepared. And if you want to take part in it, let me know. I have a list where I keep having dates fixed with people who want to come. But what I do is I the guest's expertise. So today, if it was Jaspreet is an expert in networking, so we said networking for emerging leaders. So we'll bring the expertise of the guest and connect it with leadership so that we have an interesting dialogue going. And write more questions to us. Let us know what you do. We also I also come every Friday at 6 p.m. on a Instagram live. That is more casual, and as you know, that is only a that is a platform where you can't show slides or anything, so it is only talking, and of course it's not even visual much because only the speaker and one or two people on the camera can be seen, and rest are all listening in. So come, and that's the way we exchange ideas with each other. I also want to take this opportunity to announce that on every Thursday, every last Thursday, 4 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to be doing a leadership webinar, which is absolutely free, and it is meant for only exchanging ideas on leadership. And it is meant for all those who have done my workshops or coaching or want to know something more about it, where there is no agenda. It'll be just more of question answers, discussions on some latest subjects, and things like that. So these are two, three announcements I wanted to make, because the whole idea is let's grow together. Let's collaborate. And all what Jaspreet was saying, if you just remember that if you want to build relationships, you want to collaborate, you want to, give and take, with give more and take less. I think the world will become a better place, and we'll always be able to do a better job. So thank you, Jaspreet. Thanks each
Thank you,
one of
Brigadier
you.
Bhasin, for having me. And my best wishes to you with this thing that you're trying to, come back with. And we'll stay connected and we'll meet soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye
Bye bye.
and good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.